Real quick, before we start this podcast episode, I just want to say thank you for tuning into the Marc Colcer podcast. I know you've got a million things that you could be doing right now, and the fact that you're taking time out of your day to watch this podcast episode truly means the world to me, and I just want to say thank you for that. If you'd like to continue to support the podcast, right below this video, if you could hit the subscribe button, and then, hey, if you got some more time and you want to hit the download button, the comment button, the like button, the share button, any of those buttons, it's greatly, greatly appreciated. It helps for other people to find out about the podcast, and it helps for you to be notified about future episodes. So if you guys could take a quick second, hit the subscribe button, I would really appreciate that. Outside of that, this episode and every other episode is brought to you guys by Roast Umber Coffee. As some of you guys know, I co-founded Roast Umber Coffee, and we have the greatest farmers in Guatemala and Honduras and the greatest roaster in Grand Rapids, Michigan, all to bring you guys the greatest cup of coffee possible. So if you'd like to try it out, go to our website, use the coupon code MARC30, and you're going to get 30% off your coffee. Now on to the episode. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Welcome to the Marc Colcer podcast. All right, man. So to start off, I just want to say I appreciate you making the time to do this. I've been looking forward to having this conversation for quite a long time because you're one of the first people that when I got into like the NFT space and everything like that, I initially got into more ETH NFTs. And so I was watching a ton of your videos and always just had me crying, laughing. I don't know if it was like your mannerisms or your facial expressions. It was literally just everything. But I was like, these are fucking great. And we were just always sending them in our group chat and everything like that. And so then I met you actually like briefly on the Magic Eden yacht at NFT New York. And then from there, you know, I feel like we've been in a bunch of Twitter spaces. Yeah. And so thank you for coming on today.
Dude, thank you for having me on. Also, I just want to say you look a little bit different than your PFP, not going to lie.
Yeah, you know, slightly different. Slightly different. I don't have that bleached blonde hair like my PFP or the hell background. I don't just have hell following me wherever I go.
I feel like you could easily make both of those work.
I could. I might have to make that happen. Do a little green screen behind me and have that. But yeah, so for everyone who doesn't know who you are, can you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Kevin. People call me K Money on Twitter. I'm a comedian. And I happen to be in Web3, so I just found a way to really bridge the gap between those two.
So how did you, before you get into NFTs and everything like that, how did you get into the position that you're kind of in right now? So what was your like life journey? I know that's a broad question, but start wherever you feel like is significant enough.
Well, I remember ever since I was like a kid, like I don't even know, like 8, 9 years old or something, I've always wanted to be an entertainer of some sort, like Robin Williams and like Jim Carrey were like my favorite human beings ever. So I really wanted to follow in their footsteps. And yeah, I don't know. I had a pretty crazy and random life story. I don't mind. I could get into all of that. Oh yeah,
go for it.
Okay. Yeah. So, it all started when my parents met, they fell in love. So I actually grew up in a town called Palmdale. It's like an hour north of LA in the middle of the desert. You just have to keep driving on the 14 freeway until you hear the sound of prescription pill bottles and dirt bikes. You're probably there.
There we go.
So I grew up there. And then, I think like my parents got divorced when I was around like 4th or 5th grade or something. And so my dad moved to LA and I ended up moving in with my dad, even though we didn't really get along that well at that time. And I ended up just kind of like going back and forth for a while. And then in sophomore year of high school, I dropped out. And I moved back to Palmdale, where I was essentially homeless for a little bit. I was like sleeping in like parks and in the desert for like a couple of weeks, and then eventually landed a nice couch in a beautiful trap house, where I began my journey being an entrepreneur or a drug dealer, of course. And I did that till I was like about like 17 or so. Got my GED after that, and then moved back to LA. Started doing the whole entrepreneur shit out here as well, and then decided to finally call it quits. Worked at Jamba Juice for 2 weeks before quitting because I couldn't remember any of their smoothies because I was just high all the time at work.
Fair.
Yeah. Also, like, why don't they just have the recipes like for the workers? Like, why do you gotta memorize it?
Yeah, that seems like a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. So I decided to quit after about like 2 long weeks there, and then got into acting. And then at that time, when I got into acting, like my friend Mike and I, we worked on a couple like sketch comedy videos on YouTube. So I was like 18. I posted like my first sketch video like a little over 10 years ago. And then from there, I like really enjoyed like, you know, like the process of like being behind the camera, but then also being in front of the camera and things like that. Kept doing like acting and like just like a lot of like background work, stand-in work, things like that, until I got like blacklisted from Disney Channel and Nickelodeon. And then from there, worked at a cannabis company for a few years until I just realized like I don't want to work for anyone anymore, or like at least like a normal kind of job, even though cannabis industry is not that normal. So I just got all my money. I bought a camera. I moved in with my dad like for like I think like 6 months or something like that, and I was just like filming and watching YouTube videos every single day on like how to edit, how to shoot, how to do these things. I did that for like 6 months. Started becoming like I started doing like client work. Like I did like a bunch of like random like video shoots, moved on to like commercial shoots. And then all like during like the background of all that, I was still doing like some sketch comedy videos. Cause like, that's just like what I really enjoy doing. And then from there, I think it was like the end of 2020. I decided I didn't want to do client work anymore. And then I just started doing like content full time.
There we go. There we go. Now, people who are watching this are going to be like, Mark, there was like 7 times that you should have stopped him there to ask further questions about that. So let's take it back a little bit. So how do you go from like being essentially homeless at such a young age and then living on the couch at a trap house, which I can't imagine what that's like?
Networking. A lot of networking.
Did you have a moment where you were like, I mean, I know a big part, obviously, what you do is comedy and everything like that. And so I think sometimes somebody will probably hear this and be like, is he joking, or is this like the truth of it? So this is all
this is 100% real. Yeah.
So how did you go from that to like getting the fuck out of that? Because obviously being in that situation, it's hard to get out of that situation.
Yeah, no, for sure. So it was around the time I was like 14, like I actually started going to raves. So it was a lot of, networking in like the rave community and things like that. So when I was like, like essentially homeless for like about like a week or so until like I started like crashing on like friends' couches. Then eventually one of my friends who I had like met via raving was like, oh, like this other girl I know, like she lives in like this house or whatever, like they have a couch open. So then I just essentially kind of got like a spot like in there like that. And then that same friend also fronted me some ecstasy pills to begin my journey. So then like once I sold those and things like that, I like paid him back. And then I just kind of like got into that career choice of being a local dealer.
And then how'd you get out of that?
I got out of that because I mean like the money was good. I was terrible at managing it, but it was good. And I got out of that because I just like a lot of my friends got like arrested, or I had like a few friends that like OD'd and like passed away. And I was just kind of seeing the path that I would be following if I just kept doing what I'm doing, and I didn't like that. So I just wanted like something better for myself and like more of a change. So I just that's when I thought Jamba Juice would be that path.
Hey, saved by a smoothie. But I mean, no, on a serious note, like that's something that you should pat yourself on the back for getting out of that situation, because that is something I can't even remotely relate to. Like, if I'm being completely honest, I grew up on a private golf course.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah. So I can't even fathom like growing up like that, and the fact that you've grown up like that and have accomplished so much and have gotten to the position that you're in right now says a lot about you, because there's a lot of people. I have no clue how I would have handled a situation like that, but I'm. Yeah, I mean, that's just crazy.
I think we could relate a little bit, though. Like, with you growing up on golf course, it's like...
You were probably selling drugs to the people on the golf course.
Maybe that, but also, like, both of, like, our environments included rolling balls. So, there's that, too.
That is a fact. But, yeah, no, I mean, it's like, even when you were telling me some of this before we got started, I was like, holy shit. Like, this is the reason why I wanted to have you on the podcast and tell your story, because... when people see your content and everything like that, like they see you making jokes and things, but they don't necessarily know who you are as a person. Like, who is Kevin, right? Yeah. They know K Money, but who is Kevin? And that stuff affects your, what you create, right? Because we're all a product of our environment. We're all a product of our experiences and things like that. And so do you feel like as time went on, a big part of why you got into comedy was because for a lot of people, comedy is a coping mechanism,
For sure,
right?
100%.
So do you think that how you grew up has kind of like pushed you into comedy as essentially like a coping mechanism?
Yeah, well, I mean, like it started even like before that, because like when my parents before they got like the divorce, they would always be like, getting these like terrible like arguments and fighting and things like that. So at like an early age, like I think I was even like second grade or third grade, I was constantly like trying to be like the mediator. I was always trying to like lighten the mood. And then like my mom, she had like like a really severe depression, and like I think she was like pretty high on like the bipolar spectrum. So whenever I would get home from school, like my first thing to do was always like try to console like my mother and like make sure she's good, and then just like try to make her laugh and like try to get her out of like that funk. So like from like the earliest age I can remember, I was always just trying to like make people laugh and like entertain them and like make them feel good. Which also, like, now at the age of 29, I'm going to therapy because I realized I never once learned how to like make myself feel good. It was always been about other people. So I'll let you know how that journey goes.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, shout outs to you for going to therapy, because I think that's super important. One of the last podcast episodes I did was with a trauma therapist.
Oh, cool.
So yeah,
I will watch that episode many times.
You should.
Yeah.
It's a great episode, but it's one of the things that I think is super important is that no matter what experience somebody had growing up, like we all have some level of trauma, right? And I think oftentimes we in America, I don't know why we do this, but we like dick size trauma all the time. Like,
Yeah.
like my trauma was worse than your trauma,
Yeah.
right? When in reality, whatever you've experienced is all relative to you, because you don't know what it was like to grow up in the way that I did, and I don't know what it's like to grow up in the way that you did. But as adults now, if we address the things that we've experienced, and then we better ourselves, and by bettering ourselves, we live the happiest, most fulfilled life and everything like that.
Yeah,
so.
And the beauty of it is like when you share like things that you've like went through or like things that you're feeling, it's like there's so many people that could relate to that, and just like that relatability is just so powerful.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So okay, so now you're getting into video work and everything like that. You mentioned at one point that you got blackballed from Nickelodeon. So, and Disney, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So explain that.
So at that time, I think it was I want to say like 2012 or 2013 or something. I was doing like just like regular, like I was just doing like background work. Which like, I mean, you're like, I'm not gonna say where you live or anything, but like, it's pretty.
You could say it. I move in like 2 weeks.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So like, I'm sure you're familiar with like just kind of like how often there's like film sets going on around here. So like,
they're shutting down our street tomorrow.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
To
hopefully they don't tow my car.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I got into like doing a lot of background work in the meantime, just to kind of pay the bills while I was like doing auditions and things like that. And so I became an extra on this Disney Channel show called Shake It Up. It had like Zendaya and like Bella Thorne on it.
Okay.
And then so I was I was just like a regular student, like just like student number 12 or whatever, you know what I mean? And then I just like really hit it off with like the whole crew and like some of the cast there, where they were just like, oh, if you want, like you could just come here every Tuesday and Thursday when we're shooting, and you could always like be this role, and like we really like you, so eventually maybe we could start advancing that role and like give you other opportunities. I was like, that's awesome. And so I would do that every Tuesday and Thursday. At the same time, I had a similar thing happen to me on Nickelodeon's show called How to Rock. Okay. Not really familiar with like which actors were on it. I remember it was at Paramount, which is always like fun to go to. But yeah. So from there, at that time, I was making pretty decent money, because like especially at like 18, like doing this stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Where my friend Mike and my other friend Eddie and I, we decided, hey, like we're all like doing well, like we're all like making money. Like at the time, Mike was working on Parks and Rec as Aziz Ansari's stand-in, and so and then Eddie was just like a model. So like we're like, okay, like we're all like young and making decent money. Like let's just rent a house, because that's a smart decision at a young age. So we got I think it was like a 5-bedroom house like in the valley, and we just started throwing the craziest parties. Like absolutely, like the absolute craziest party. So it got to the point where I would start like showing up to a set on Shake It Up, and I would just be hungover. And then so I would start slacking my work, and then it got to the point where I would go from showing up hungover to just showing up still drunk. And then eventually it got to the point where we just threw this like huge rager of a party. I think we had like I want to say like 500 or 600 people like in this house just raging. And then the next day, not only did I show up still like just wasted at work, but so did a lot of people in the cast. And so the producers and director was just kind of like, what's going on? Why are all these young kids or like oh shit, I should say that.
I mean, it is what it is. You were underage too.
Yeah, I was. I was like, I think I was like, I was 18 at the time. So yeah, and like everyone else was like over, like they're all over the age of 18, but you know, it was 18 to look younger.
Yeah.
That was like the cast type. So they were just freaking out. They're like, why? Like, what the hell is going on with everyone? Then everyone snitched on me, and they're just like, yeah, like we've been going to Kevin's house and like all this stuff. And so essentially, they pulled me aside and they're like, hey, like we're gonna let you go, and also. You're no longer welcome on any Disney Channel production, or you're not like welcome to this studio. Have a good day. And I was like, okay, cool. At least I still have How to Rock. And then so the way I fucked up on How to Rock was when you're on set, you can't have your phone because you're on set, and like they don't want you to like leak things or things like that, as if people gave a shit about that show. But so. Every time you're on set, if you're not in a scene, they usually have like hours of downtime because you're just like watching other people set up the shot and like other people do the shot, and like so you just have like there'd be days where I would go like 4 or 5 hours where I'm just waiting to like do my scene at the very end. And then so my character, like each like student, they would all have like a prop section, so they just go get whatever props, like a book bag, some books, whatever. There was always like a pink notebook that was there, and so I would always grab it every day. And I'm a creative person, you know, I like writing. So whenever I was bored, I would just start writing poetry. It would just happen to be sexual poetry. And so like working on that show, like every day for months, it would go from, or like not every day, but like every, like, I think it was like Wednesday and Friday for How to Rock. The book started getting filled up a little bit. And then so I even like brought on like one of my friends, Dan, who's now a successful music artist, and he's a creative person too. So we're like, okay, like let's, aside from doing sexual poems in here, let's also just draw like the most realistic dicks we can.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we were just like just drawing some amazing dicks, shot is super bad. And then I then started getting like, I had like a writer's block with the sexual poetry. So then I was like, I need it to be about like a character. So it would be like a little bit easier. So there was a lunch lady on the show. I think she was like maybe in her like mid 40s or something. And so I was like, oh, this is a good idea if I just like made the lunch lady the subject for each one of these sexual poems. And so eventually I just kept doing that. And then I didn't show up to work one day because I was hungover and still drunk from the night before. And this was like right after I got like already like kicked off of like Disney's production. So I was like just down bad. So I was like really drinking like aggressively. So I didn't show up to work one day. And I guess what other people told me was that the day I didn't show up was the day that like one of like I think like the lead actress, she was just walking around set and she saw like the pink notebook and she starts opening it and she starts like reading it and she's like, oh my God. And then she starts freaking out and like just yelling. And then like the producer and like directors like run up and they're like, what's going on? And she shows them that. And then they start freaking out. And then they call the lunch lady over and she starts reading it. And they were telling me she started crying, which like I feel terrible about, but also like kind of wild. So I guess she started crying and like they made it into the whole thing. And then like, I guess what they were telling me was that like they held like the notebook and had like just like the giant dick and like, who did this? Who did this here? And then everyone fucking snitched on me and they're like, it was Kevin. And then so I just showed up like that was on like a Wednesday. I showed up to work that Friday, and when I showed up, like the security guard for the check-in for like Paramount, he's like, "Oh, just wait here." I'm like, "Okay, that's weird," but like, "Oh, wait." And the producer came up to me, he's like, "Hey, Kev, yeah, you're fired, and you like please don't ever show up like on this studio. Please, like you're not allowed to like work with like any Nickelodeon production in the future, and then have a good life." And then so I think it was like in that same week I got fired from both.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. 18 was a little different for me. I didn't have a house in the hills in California throwing wild.
It was in the hills.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But I didn't have a house.
It was a pretty shitty part of the valley. Let's be honest.
I didn't have a house anywhere near the valley. And I was just probably, at Michigan State, like drinking Four Locos.
Yeah.
That was the prime time for Four Locos.
They were terrible then. But I mean, they're the best though.
They were the best version of them.
Did you ever drink Four Locos? That was the whole challenge.
No, but we did Edward 40 hands.
Oh,
so
yeah.
To the 40s of Four Locos, tape them on somebody's hands. Oh boy. You know, kids nowadays, they can't relate to that. We're the same age. We realized right before we started this that our birthdays are what, 13 days apart?
Yeah, I can't do math anyways, but yeah.
Yeah, we're 2 weeks apart.
Yeah.
So everybody, we're going to be throwing a birthday party in October for us. We'll be turning 30.
Absolutely.
Okay? And we'll be throwing it at the house that Kevin had back in 2011. He still has it. And we'll be inviting the lunch lady, and she'll be reciting sexual poetry. How sexual are we talking? All right, real quick, I got to interrupt this episode of the podcast to tell you guys about a new sponsor. Now, before you call me a sellout, I promise you I'm not doing that. I'm not ruining the integrity of the show. I'm not just accepting any sponsorship opportunity. I'm not doing that. I actually reached out to this company, and this company is called Hey Wallet. And I reached out to them because somebody had actually used Hey Wallet to send me Solana. And so when they did that, I was like, what is Hey Wallet? I'm not familiar with them. How does this work? Everything like that. Basically, Hey Wallet is a way that you can send somebody cryptocurrency without knowing their wallet address. All you have to know is their Twitter username. So, for example, if you're watching this podcast and you're like, oh my God, this is the most amazing podcast I've ever seen, I want to send Marc 1,000 Solana. What you would do is you would create an account on Hey Wallet. You would load it just like any other wallet. And then you would tweet, Hey Wallet, send Marc Colcer 1,000 Solana. And boom, I get 1,000 Solana. And so immediately there's a transaction on Twitter which you get to see, and then there's also a receipt for that, and it goes up right on SoulScan. So you can basically see everything with the whole transaction right then and there. And that's one of the coolest parts about Hey Wallet is that there's the social element to cryptocurrency. And that's what I thought was really, really cool about it, because Twitter is such an important thing for the Solana space. And one of the big things I talk about all the time is onboarding people into the space. And so what easier way to do that but then by saying to somebody, hey, get onto Twitter. I'm going to send you Solana through Hey Wallet, and boom, now you're ready to go. You're ready to buy NFTs. You're ready to do this. You're ready to do that. And actually, one of the new features of Hey Wallet is that you can actually send NFTs back and forth through Hey Wallet. So it's just a really easy way to transact, and it's an easy way to send somebody Solana without having to ask them for their wallet address or anything like that. So if you want to show appreciation to somebody, like I said, hey, if you're watching this podcast, you're like, this is the most amazing podcast ever, and you want to send me Solana, all you got to do is go Hey Wallet, send Marc Colcer 1,000 Solana, and bang. I'll retweet that. I'll quote tweet that. I'll do the whole nine. So that's the new sponsor of the podcast. So I want you guys to show some love to Hey Wallet. We're going to be doing some really cool giveaways, doing some really cool contests and things like that, because I'm all about onboarding new people into the space, about giving back to people in the space. And that's what I talked about with Hey Wallet. And that's why I agreed to work with them, is because they're all about that too. And so, yeah, that's why I brought Hey Wallet into the podcast, and I'm looking forward to working with them. And now back to the episode.
Like it would say stuff like, like it was.
Don't look me in the eyes.
Okay, I'm looking in the eyes right now. Okay, like it was a cold winter night as my phallus began to quiver, and then the stroke of her, like it's just stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like yeah. For some reason, when I was writing it, I always had like an accent too.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Okay. Wow. That's deep. That's deep. I love that. So then you get kicked off that show, and now you're off both of those shows.
Yeah.
Did you like spiral it all from there?
100%. Yeah, that was the absolute lowest. Like that was like one of the lowest points of my life. Like after that, I couldn't afford to rent anymore, so I had to like sell all my belongings just to try to make ends meet, and then I still couldn't like pay it anymore, so I had to like essentially like leave my friends, and I felt bad because like they then had to like figure out like getting another roommate, and I felt like I fucked them over financially. I think like a couple months later, I had like my car repossessed. I couldn't get a job anywhere because background actor, I guess no one finds that a useful task. And so from there, I just worked like a bunch of like random odd end jobs. Like I even worked on like a porn set one day. Yeah, it was like I just worked on like this is the most.
Were you lead dick?
No, dude. So I was actually like, dude, like my friend bamboozled me with this. Like he was like a chef, and he was like, "Yo, dude," he's like, "I know you need work right now, but like if you want, like I'm catering at this like shoot. You kind of like help me out with catering." I'm like, "Okay, sounds good." And so we prepared like the meals like beforehand. We like cooked, like we like grilled some salmon and like all this stuff. Like we're just like serving like a bunch of like fish. And then we show up to set, and then as we like walk in, you just hear like just people moaning. I'm like, dude, like what the hell is going on here? And then we like walk into the kitchen, and there's just people smashing like just on like the kitchen like island and stuff, and we're just like, bro. And then he's like, "Oh, I forgot to tell you," you know what I mean? And then after he told me that, the director Stormy Daniels, it was her directorial debut. She shows up, and she just like, "Hey boys, so yeah, we're gonna finish up with this shoot in a second, and then we're gonna have you guys like prepare the food." And then we're like, okay. Then like my friend Roth, who was the chef, he was like, okay. He's like, hey Stormy, like where do you want us to serve the food? She's like, oh, like right there on the island. I was just like, that's where they're fucking. And she's like, yeah, like they'll be done soon. And then she's like, all right, and what did she say? She's like, she said like the actor's name, and she's like, Pop. And then as soon as she said that, like the guy just ejaculated like all over the island and like all over like the actress. And then I was like, yo, like it's dirty. And she's like, no, like don't worry about it. And she like called over. She's like, don't worry, someone's gonna come clean it. And she's like, Randy, come here. And then like this dude Randy comes out, and he just has like a towel over his like shoulder and like just like a spray bottle on his belt, and he just like walks up. He's like sizing out the island. He just sprays it with bleach, gives it a wipe down, like sprays it again, gives another wipe down. He's like, we're good. And then like Roth and I are just like looking at each other, and he's like I'll pay you a little bit more than I promised I would. And like, yeah, so we served fish, which is arguably the worst thing to serve at that kind of shoot.
Yeah.
It was a weird day. But yeah, so I just did like random jobs like that, like before I like landed a job at like a cannabis company.
I hope you guys didn't serve like asparagus or anything.
Dude, I actually think we did. I swear to God. I think it was like salmon with like lemons on top and like asparagus and like potatoes.
Oh, man. Oh, I mean, low-key, that sounds great.
It does sound really
good.
Just
not during a porn shoot.
Yeah.
So, wow. You've lived like 50 lives in the course of your 29 years. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, okay. So then you get into the cannabis industry, and then, all right, let's fast forward a little bit. You get into content creation, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're creating videos and things like that. How did that whole process kind of first start?
So while I was still at the cannabis industry, like I was like still like I was like posting like vines, and like they would get like, you know, like 600, 700,000 views. Snapchat just came out. So I was like doing like daily Snapchats. Then like I was just like I still had like the hunger and the drive to like make content, but I was just too scared to like just do that like all the time. And so like after just like years of working in this like cannabis industry, like this cannabis company, and like just doing content on the side, like I was just like, man, like I just like this, like I hate working here. Money's cool, but like I hate working here. And then like this is the only thing that like makes me feel anything in life. So I think I should just like lean all the way in. So once I bought like the camera and everything, and I like moved out, and I like just started like understanding all that, like I was just I was just like well, one, I was like, I need to figure out like how to monetize using like this camera and like these skills, so that way I'm not just like depending on making content for a living, because it's kind of hard to do when you have 3 followers. And then so I just like I got into like, you know, like videography and like real estate videography and like product videography, like commercials. Like I just like any kind of like video gig, I would just do. Like I would go on Upwork, like I'm like, oh, you need like a drone pilot, like I could do that. And like I didn't have a drone, and I'm just like renting one and like Googling how to use one and things like I was just trying to do like whatever I could to like make a living doing that. And like once I was like able to like have like a stable kind of income using like content creation for other people, then like that's when I was like, all right, like I'm just gonna like lean in and start like creating content for myself. And then I just like kept doing that, like both of them, until I was like making enough money from doing like a commercial shoot where I'd make enough money where I'd only need to do like 1 or 2 commercial shoots a month. And then the rest of the time I would just do content. And then I just like eventually I just kept doing that until I just made the switch over.
Damn. Yeah, I mean, I can relate to that, because when 6 months before I moved out to LA is when I like bought my first camera. And for people who don't know, like I do photography as like my day job. And I literally said to myself, okay, you've got like 5 months. I was already planning on moving out to LA. So I was like, you've got like 5 months to be able to figure out how to make a living doing this so that you can get to LA and not work a job, right?
Yeah.
And so I got out to LA. I was like still so new to photography. I mean, I sucked. I look back at those photos now and I'm like, that's embarrassing that people paid me for that. But they did. And so I was just a hustler. I was hitting up everybody who went to USC, UCLA. I was like, oh, they got mom and daddy money. Like, they can pay for a shoot.
Yep.
So I was hitting up all of them. And then, just contacting literally everybody. And I just started off with, like, I'll charge you $50. And then once nobody said no to $50, I went up to 100. Then I went up to 200. Then I went up to 300, and so on and so forth. And then I got to a point where people I was shooting with started to blow up. And then that's kind of what helped me, I guess, like, build up a little bit of a following on Instagram. And then, pretty much from there, years later, obviously I ended up getting into NFTs, and here we are now.
Yeah.
But I can always relate to the content kind of just drive of like always trying to find work and all like saying yes to literally everything.
Yeah.
Like, we were talking about this before we got started about like random jobs that we've done and just the random bullshit that we've dealt with. And it's like, there's just, when you're in this industry and when you live in LA, like there's so much bullshit that you just have to do because it's like, I need a paycheck and I need to make money out here because this shit's expensive. And even when you're talking about like creating Vines and whatnot, I was thinking back to when I moved out to LA, which was in 2016. And that's when 1600 Vine was popping. Do you remember those days?
Oh yeah. The Camden 1600 Vine, all the Viners lived right there.
Oh,
You're just like, what's going on here?
Yeah. For people who don't know, that's an apartment complex in LA, literally just called 1600 Vine. And everybody who lived there was a Vine star.
Yeah.
So it was like Logan Paul, Jake Paul, King Batch, like all these random ass people. I remember I went to the gym once there working out with a buddy who lived there, and I just like saw people that I had seen in like a movie before, and then like dudes I had seen on Vine and everything like that. And it was such a crazy.
It was like the original content house.
Yeah.
If you think about it. The crazy thing is like I always like thought like I'm like, oh, like they probably like cut a deal with them, and I just found out like maybe like 2 months ago because like my friend he like knows like the building owner or something. And I was like asking him about that, and he was saying that like filming actually wasn't allowed there, and like Logan Paul would have to like pretty much pay a fine every time he would make a Vine. I'm not trying to rhyme right now, but yeah, which was crazy. So like I guess like he was paying like I think he was saying like $2,500 fines for like every like piece of content he would make there.
Wow, that's crazy. That's the shit that if somebody's not from LA, they might not understand like how LA is such a small world in a lot of ways, and like everybody kind of knows each other, everybody works on each other's shit and everything like that. And then us not knowing each other, but like knowing 1600 Vine and both being here at the same time and everything like that, it's just crazy. But so then you get into obviously creating content with you being in front of the camera, right? And so what kind of inspired that? Like just from creating the Vines and shit like that?
Yeah, I mean like, just like I just love sketch comedy. So when I decided to like make myself like the main focal point, I just started writing sketches, and I was just filming sketches. Like the first few ones definitely weren't good. They were way too long. And then I just kept doing that to, like maybe they'd get like a couple hundred views or something like that. I would do them on like Instagram, and then I was even doing them on Snapchat because I just love wasting my time. And then I just kept doing them on Instagram and like a couple on YouTube. And then once TikTok came out and TikTok started popping, I was just like, all right, like this looks a lot like Vine, but like better and like longer. And I missed like the wave on Vine because I was just like too scared. So I'm not going to miss this. And then at that point I was just like, I just started making a TikTok a day, and I did that for like almost a year. I grew to like 420,000 followers on there. And then like in the middle of like me doing that, like that's when I also started getting into like Web3. And then so I just got tired of just, I don't know, like none of the following or like views or anything on like TikTok. Like I don't think it matters. Like it's weird. Like it's like I have like 400,000 followers on there, but like I don't know any of them. Versus like Web3, it's so small, it's so like nuanced, where you could have like 1,000 followers on Twitter and you could actually like get to know each one of them. Versus like TikTok, it's like I'm gonna get to know you through each of us posting videos that we're just trying to get like engagement and like get famous from. Like it just feels like so like inauthentic. And then on top of that, like I was like, it was after I realized I like hit like 60 million views in like less than a year, and like my creator fund payout was like $2,400. I was like, maybe this isn't the best option. And then plus like I just fell in love with like I started trading crypto. Like as early as 2017, I like lost like all my money at that point when I did it, but then I got back into it end of 2020, beginning of 2021. Around the same time I like quit my job and started getting like into just like doing content creation full time. I started just investing a little bit into crypto here and there because like I've always believed in it. And then it was during like March of 2021 when it was just like shit coin season. I made a lot of money. I didn't cash any of it out, but like on my phone,
who the fuck takes profits?
in my MetaMask, it showed that I had a lot of money. Okay. And so like, although I never realized any of those profits, just seeing like what can happen with that. Like I was just like, oh wow, like I should like lean more into the crypto because like there seems to be a lot more opportunity here. And then so I was doing that until like altcoins essentially tanked in like May or June. And then at that point I was just like really depressed. I was just like still making TikTok videos. It'd still go viral and like I would still feel nothing. And then my friend was like, my friend Bryce, he introduced me to like NFTs like last summer. And then so once I started like getting more into it, I was like, wow, like this feels like really similar to like crypto, like especially like meme coins, you know, which is like what I love the most. And then I realized like how much better it was because there was actual communities. It wasn't just a Telegram of everyone just like let's go to the moon, like, oh, fuck the paper hands. I mean, like there's still a lot of that. But once I noticed like the community in it, then it got to the point where I was still making my TikTok videos that would still do crazy numbers, but I was only doing them not because like I wanted to do them, but just because I felt like I had to do them. And I was just trying to get over I remember when it started out, like I would film a video and I would just be excited the whole time and I would just be like really stoked. And then it got to the point where I would just film a video. I'm just like, okay, come on, let's hurry up. Like, so I can go on Twitter and Discord and find out what the next mint is. Like, it was just, I was way more excited about Web3. So then I just like dove into Web3 and then started like slowing down on like content creation at that time. And then I pretty much stopped making content and just like was like fully like 24/7 into like Web3 until I started like making content again in like March of this year.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
I mean, I can relate to that in a lot of ways because TikTok, when I first got started with that, same thing with Vine. I was like, I wasn't ready to make content with that. When TikTok came around, I was like, all right, I'm going to capitalize. I shoot with all these beautiful women. I'm going to post these like behind the scenes videos from my shoots, right? I gained 45,000 followers in 1 week, right? And I was like, I've mastered this shit. I'm getting millions of views in all of mine. And then, boom, they shadow banned the fuck out of me. They just started claiming, like, child pornography on all of mine when I was like, okay, first of all, no one's nude. Second of all, none of these are children. Everyone's, like, 25.
Yeah.
And it's, like, people in bikinis. And I was like, whatever. And so I just got really just annoyed by it. And I was like, all right, this is obviously is not going to work because this is what's going to keep happening and this is annoying. So I just stopped doing that. And then Instagram, same thing. I mean, I have like 40,000 followers on there, but it's the same thing that you talked about with Vine or TikTok, where you don't feel like you know any of those people.
Yeah.
So even like random times, I'll have someone reach out to me and they'll be like, dude, I just want to let you know, like, I love your podcast. And I'm like, dude, why did you take a year and a half to let me know that?
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate the hell out of that.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, I listen to every episode. And I'm like, dude, let me know that. That shit makes me feel great. And the greatest thing about, getting into Web3 and all of that is people are so fucking nice. And they're like, dude, I love your content. Like, oh my God, your podcast is what inspired me to do this. And it's the greatest feeling. And
it really is.
It makes everything we do worth it,
For sure.
And it's like, money and everything like that is always needed to pay bills and things like that. But when somebody actually tells you, I took time out of my day to watch your content or to share it with a friend or anything like that, it just means so much. It's the same thing of like when people watch this podcast episode, when they bring it up to you in the future and they're like, hey, it's really cool, hearing about your upbringing and how you were able to overcome a lot of shit and everything. That's going to mean a lot to you, knowing that they actually took the time to listen and get to know you more and not just like laugh at your videos and things like that, but actually get to know who Kevin is.
Yeah.
Right. And so, that's the coolest part about Web3 is like people give a shit, and you can tell it when we get into a Twitter space. And, I was axe throwing with Threader last weekend or 2 weekends ago, whatever it was. And then like he leaves and then I leave and then we both are in a Twitter space like 20 minutes later. And so it's just how we do it in Web3.
I love it.
And it makes everything, it's so cool to connect with so many different people. And that's how NFT New York was. It was just like, you would just meet somebody and be like, dude, like, here's my Twitter. And you're like, oh shit, like I know who you are. And it's such a fun environment, and it makes creating content so much more worth it, because we were talking about this beforehand, but when you're in LA and you're in this like content cycle where you feel like rinse, cycle, repeat, create content, put it out, market it, create more content, put it out, market it. And then this one got this many views, this one got this many views, and you get into this just like toxic cycle of feeling like, well, I need to do this, but it takes the fun out of it, right?
Yeah.
And this space is just fun, and so it's so much nicer to create content around this than like any other shit.
For sure, without a doubt. And also, like, the interesting point you kind of brought up is like when you were getting like shadow ban on TikTok and things like that. Like that was like the other like biggest driver for me. I mean, aside from like me loving like Web3 and wanting to spend more time in it, was the fact that like my TikTok account, which at that time was like pretty much like one of like the main things I was like working on, like I got suspended, I think like 11 times. I got like demonetized like 4 times. I got permanently banned twice.
You've been banned by everything.
Dude, yeah. And so I know, for real though. And then so from there, like I was just like, wow, like this is not the best vehicle for me to create like comedic content on. Cause it's like when I do stand up, like I go and I do a show, and like if I bomb, like usually like the crowd, like at least like they're understanding that you're like watching like a stand-up show or like or like a comedy show. So like they understand you're like working or you're attempting something. But it's like, you know, when you like make a joke like on the internet, like especially in like a video, people like just assume and like they just like don't understand satire, or like that you're like making a joke and they think it's like your like own like personal beliefs or something like that. So it's like me and like many other like comedians, like they all like got like deplatformed or like censored in some way. So I was like, wow, like I don't like the idea of like me doing comedy and then like having to worry about it being censored. Like I want like what I create to be out there, and I want people to at least like have the ability to like share their opinion on it or something. Like I don't believe in censorship at all. And so like when I started like learning more about Web3, and I realized like, you know, like the decentralization of things, or at least like the idea of it, because let's be real, Web3 doesn't really exist. It's just Web2 with VC money at this point.
Right. Yeah.
But the idea,
we're building it.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. But yeah, like the idea of like having something like just truly like decentralized was like, that was like the most beautiful thing for a comedian to kind of like bear witness to.
You know, you could just put your videos out on 4chan, and then, you know, and then no one's going to flag your shit.
Yeah, that's true.
You just have to go super, super, super crazy with it. And, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
You just say, I was about to say something, but I'm like, yeah, Twitter or YouTube might.
I think Ryder Rips will be like my favorite fan at that point.
Oh, man, there's some jokes I could make, but we'd probably get flagged by YouTube, so we're not going to do that. Okay, so then... you know, for you, is it tough sometimes, like feeling the need to like turn off being funny? Like when you're having a normal conversation, do you feel the need to like crack a joke because people are kind of expecting that from you? Or do you feel like people expect that from you?
I don't know. I feel like I've never really turned anything off, which is probably why I have so many mental health issues that I deal with. But like, I'm trying to figure it all out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cause it's not like I'm pretty good at like reading the room, or like I'm like really like I have like pretty high like EQ, I would say. So for the most part, like I'm not going to like always be on like if we're having a serious conversation, but at the very end I will always try to make a joke, and like usually it won't land well, especially if it's like a really serious like conversation. But like that like I acknowledge that it's just like my like kind of like coping mechanism. It's almost like a palate cleanse or something like for me. But yeah, I mean like I feel like it's tough if I especially like if I just do like a stand-up show and I like get off stage, like I'm usually on like the whole night. Like it kind of sucks. I can't really like sleep. I'm just going. So like those are the only situations where I feel like I can't turn it off. But for the most part, I mean like I just kind of like address the situation, but more likely I'll probably like try to make a joke.
Yeah. It's one of those things when you're in this business and like the entertainment industry in general, it's tough to turn off like what we do for a living. And I realized that years ago when I live alone, so I don't always have somebody to make small talk with, right?
Yeah.
I don't have a roommate. I've lived alone for 5 years, you know, whatever. And so there'd be certain times where I would get on like a phone call with some like chick that I was talking to or whatever. And then she'd be like, dude, you sound like a fucking robot right now. And I'm like, oh shit. It's because I'm used to like work calls. And so then I'm in like work mode, and I was like, oh shit, I got to remind myself how to have like a normal conversation, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's finding that way to find that good balance between like doing what we do and then just being your normal self. And it's tough because even I'm used to doing podcasts now, and so I'm used to like interviewing people, but at the same time I try to make it super conversational so that it doesn't feel like an interview, so I don't get off of this and I'm like still in interview mode. I just want to be in conversation mode.
I think you're doing a good job, because as you're talking to me right now and you said that, like I looked around, I'm like, oh shit, there's actually like lights and camera. Like I totally forgot we're filming a podcast.
Yeah, hey, that's the goal of it, you know, because we just want it to feel like a conversation because it's just way more authentic at that point.
For sure. And I'm also on a lot of hallucinogens, by the way, so I just want you to know.
Fair. Did you get those from the guys in Palmdale?
I did actually. My My body feels really warm right now for no reason at all.
That might be the camera lights. I actually feel hot myself. But all right, so where do you want to see things go from here? For your for you, for your career, like in a perfect world, where do you want to see things go?
Well, my goals are the following. I would like to put out a stand-up comedy special. I want to write and direct and star in a comedy series. I want to write and direct and star in a comedy like feature film. And then I want to do the just rinse and repeat those for a while. And then I would like at the very end, I want to just write and direct like a really like serious drama that like people would never expect like me to like do
one about your life story. I mean, shit, I would watch that.
Yeah,
that's got a lot of plot points, things like that. I mean, shit, I'd watch.
It probably wouldn't be that interesting. You know what I mean?
You say that because you lived it.
Yeah,
for other
true,
people, I guarantee people are going to watch this, and I had no idea about any of this before we got started today. So, all right. So I got a question for you, based off a tweet that you put out about 20 minutes before you came here. So you tweeted out, you said, "August will be an interesting month. Looking forward to turning the space upside down and burning many bridges. Grifters, consider this a warning." You want to explain that?
I don't want to leak exactly what it is, but I just want everyone out there who has ever been a bad actor, been involved in a rug pull, been a grifter, like removed liquidity from like their followers or their market with like bad intentions. I have a plan, and I will be coming for each and every one of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good thing I haven't done some shit.
Exactly. Also, it's gonna be terrible for like my career from a financial level because like there's gonna be a lot of projects, a lot of businesses, a lot of like major like brands and influencers that like I will be aiming to expose in a sense. Yeah.
Hey, sometimes you gotta spray a little bleach and clean up the space a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Just like Randy from that set, you know?
Just like Big Randy. You know, you just gotta spray a little bleach and clean this up. So hey, it is what it is. Sometimes we gotta clean up some shit. And I do like it in the Web3 space. It does feel like we call out shit. We call out bad actors and things like that. We do a good job of kind of cleansing everything like we need to and everything. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to you putting out a comedy special down the road. That's gonna be fucking sweet. Yeah. If you've got any local shows, you better let me know.
For sure.
I definitely want to come to that.
I'm actually always at an open mic, like honestly, like 5 minutes down the street from here.
Well, dude. Yeah, definitely.
If you ever want to go to an open mic, which is the most depressing place, let me know.
I will. No, I'm for sure in.
Cool.
But all right, so I got a game that I want us to play.
Okay.
It's called Everybody Knows Fuck, Marry, Kill, right?
Yeah.
But we're gonna add another element. We're gonna do Fuck, Marry, Kill, Collaborate. Okay. So we're gonna do by collaborate, I mean you got to collaborate with them for the rest of the time. Okay. On every video.
Okay.
So here are your 4 people: Frank from D Gods, we got Threader, we got Shillin' Villain, and we got King Fudd.
So I have to collab with one of them?
Yeah, you got to collaborate on all of your videos. So fuck, marry, kill, collaborate.
See, I wish I could just like fuck, marry, kill, and collab with Frank. Yeah, to be honest. All right.
Wait, why would you want to kill Frank?
Huh?
Why would you want to kill Frank?
I just want to kill him with this brick, No, but all right, let's see. Okay, so fuck would probably be King Fudd, just a handsome man. I'm not sure, honestly. Handsome man voice.
He does have a great voice.
I know he's a father, so like clearly knows how to do something.
He knows how to fuck.
Yeah. I would kill Shillin' Villain. My apologies there. I'm sure like a lot of bags will probably go up at that point. And then I would marry Frank, hands down. Marry Frank, just intelligent, like rich, successful, single-ish. I don't know what his situation is.
He's probably got everybody in his DMs.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then I'd collab with Threador. Because a collab could still be like him like carrying my equipment, right? Is that still the
thing? This is true.
Yeah, because Threador honestly is like fucking hilarious, and I think he has like so much potential to like be like just a goat.
I love Threader. I love Threader. I gotta explain. So when we went axe throwing, we were playing this game where they have like certain rings, right? And it'll be like you get this many points if it lands in this region, so on. And so you had 3 tries, and you had to just take your like best score. You would have to stop. You would have to tell when you wanted to stop, right?
Yeah.
So if your first throw was like a 5, you would just be like, all right, I'm good with that, and you would move on, right? Threader, his first throw would always be a high score. It'd be like 4 or 5, whatever. And every time he would be like, nah, not that. I'm going to do better. And we're like,
what was the max score you could get from one of the circles?
I think it was 6,
Oh my
which is
God.
a bullseye. and every time he'd be like, all right, I got this, guys. And he'd airmail the shit out of the next 2 and get 0 points.
Yeah.
And that was the entire night. He did that every time. His first throw would be incredible, and his next 2 would just suck ass. And it was the entire night like that. And he is
he's a moon boy, bro. He's a fucking moon boy.
He
yeah.
is. We're either going to the fucking top or we're going to 0.
Yeah.
And well, we went to 0 quite a bit there.
Yeah, I remember he was telling me how he had like an offer of 85 ETH on his mutant back when ETH was like $4,000, and he never took it. And I was just like, bro, like, I was like, what were you expecting for at that point? Like, you're like 18, 19. Yeah, at the time he's like 18. I'm like, bro, like, I can't do math right now, but yeah, I mean, like 85 times 4,000, probably a lot.
You know, his 18-year-old life is a little bit different than your 18-year-old
Yeah.
life was. You know, that's some crazy shit. Yeah, what a peach that guy is. And then, so if you could put together your like perfect dream comedy dinner, so you and let's say 3 guests, who would be in your dream comedy dinner?
Alive or dead?
Alive or dead, either.
Either. Robin Williams, Jim Carrey, Patrice O'Neal. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why those 3?
They're just all amazing. Like Patrice is like one of like the most.
I'm not familiar with Patrice.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh dude, yeah. He was like one of my favorite comedians. He's just like brutally honest, but like genius at the same time. Like it's like he would be like he'll tell you like the complete truth of something, but make it like where you're just laughing the entire time. And yeah, he was just so good at that. He was so good at like just like even like his crowd work. He would just like look at like people and then just like off the cuff, like just say like like a joke that like not even like the best writer could like spend like a month writing. Like I don't know, he's just like one of the most like naturally like funny like talented human beings. And then Robin Williams, obviously like just the GOAT. Yeah, just the GOAT. And then yeah, same with like Jim Carrey.
Yeah. There's a comedian. Are you familiar with Jim Jeffries?
Yeah.
He does kind of that same thing you were talking about with Patrice, where he'll talk about like a really real subject. Like he has a video about gun control that I've shown like 1,000 people.
Yeah.
I think it's the funniest damn thing, talking about like what it's like in he's Australian, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in Australia with guns, and then what it's like in America. And it doesn't matter if you're like anti-guns or for guns or whatever. It's fucking hilarious. Like it's like
that's always the best comedies. Like when you're like right there in the middle and you get both sides to agree on one thing. Like that's why I love comedy so much, because it's like
it's what it's all about.
Yeah,
it's making everybody laugh. And
exactly.
And you know, and you toe that line of what is funny and what's you know what's too far. But it's like you got to do that in order for it to be funny. Because if you always tread in like the in the shallow water, then you're not doing anything.
Exactly.
And so sometimes you gotta go a little crazy with it.
Yeah.
But all right, so. Last thing that we're gonna do here, we talked about this beforehand. I watched a video of Kevin Hart and The Rock doing the tortilla challenge.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do the tortilla challenge. They did best 2 out of 3 rock paper scissors,
okay.
And then whoever wins each round get to slap the shit out of each other with the tortilla.
I'm cool with that.
I literally bought tortillas like 15 minutes before you got here.
I'm starving anyway, so I hope I catch it in my mouth.
I'll hit you right in the mouth.
Okay,
with
cool.
It. And yeah, so I'm gonna adjust the camera, make sure it can see both of us, and then we're gonna do the tortilla challenge.
Let's do it
and wrap it up. So, all right, let's do that. Before we do that, because we're gonna wrap this up afterwards. Where can people find you? Drop your socials.
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter. It's kmoney_69 or TikTok and Instagram at Kevin Soney, SONEI.
Oh, I didn't know you use your real name on Instagram. Oh, there we go.
Super doxed.
There we go. Super doxed. Hey, shout out to us, 2 doxed people. Look at us. Look at us. Who would have thought? Yeah. Not me.
Yeah.
No, actually, this is the first time in a long time I've done a podcast with somebody that I can see their eyes while we're
talking.
Oh,
really?
Or see their entire face while we're talking. So, it's a nice change of things. But all right, so let's throw.
Cool.
We're gonna have to use the real audio of these cameras. We'll do this for a second.
So the tortillas, we're gonna wrap after the tortilla wrap, right?
Oh yeah. Of course,
okay. Cool.
Of course. Okay. So let me check. Here's what we're gonna do. So here, fresh tortilla. You have water, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we gotta put water in our mouth.
Oh, why?
You didn't. This is how you're supposed to do it. You put water in your mouth, and then whoever like spits up the water first loses. Oh yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, we're doing this. We're doing
All
this.
right. I love that you just had everything ready to cover up the.
Oh yeah. Because I was like, the last thing I need is.
All right, so before we start, so is it gonna be rock, paper, scissors, go?
So yeah, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. We'll go on shoot.
Cool, yeah.
And then best 2 out of 3.
Okay.
And I hope everybody can hear this because these mics are gonna sound like shit with these over and over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, does that mean you lost? Let's go, dude.
Oh, dude, that was amazing.
Bro,
that was amazing.
That.
Oh my god, I just have a wet tortilla now. Oh man, alright, we'll wrap this up here. We'll throw these on real quick.
I'm suing you, by the way. Assaulting the tortilla.
Oh my god. That was actually 10 times better than I thought it was going to be. Let me just tell this to everybody who's watching this right now. I never knew how fun it was to slap the shit out of somebody with a tortilla.
Dude, it kind of hurts a little bit. Like, do I have a tortilla mark on my face?
No, you're good. You're good. My hand's just covered in water. Oh, man. What a way to end this episode.
Absolutely.
I watched that video, I think it was like 2 nights ago, whatever, and I quote tweeted and said, next person who comes on my podcast, we're doing the tortilla challenge. So,
man of your word.
You were the next person to come on the podcast.
You.
I bought tortillas. How do we do? These are shout outs to whatever that one tortilla company that everybody buys their tortillas from.
It's a good tortilla.
Great tortillas.
Yeah.
So with that said, I appreciate you coming on. I'm looking forward to your comedy specials. I'm looking forward to your videos coming out. I'm looking forward to hoping the audio sounded decent, that the cameras picked up on that. Yeah. But other than that, this is a great fucking time.
It really was. Thank you for inviting me into your studio. Thank you for slapping me with a tortilla. It feels a lot like my childhood. So, dude.
All right. There you go.
Thank you, bro. I'm glad we did that.